Hello and welcome to Express News. In the next half an hour, we'll get you all the latest news and updates. My name is Abhishek Mahajan. We'll start with the top story. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has announced the reopening of several major tourist spots in the Union Territory that were temporarily closed following the Pahalgam terror attack. After a comprehensive assessment of the security situation, Betab Valley, Verinag, Kokarnag, Badamwadi and Duck Park have been made accessible to the public, among many others. India's largest Gati Shakti multi-modal cargo terminal was inaugurated in Manesar, Gurgaon by Rail Minister Ashwini Vaishnav and Haryana Chief Minister Nayab Singh Saini in a grand ceremony. Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav praised Maruti's role and announced reforms to the Tatkal ticketing system starting July 1st, along with new Amrit Bharat trains and major investments. Nationwide, 108 multi-modal cargo terminals and 34 Amrit Bharat stations are underway to boost logistics and connectivity. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami participates in the review meeting regarding the preparations for Ma Nanda Devi Rajat Yatra 2026 through video conferencing. On the instructions of Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami, a health checkup camp has been set up in the State Information Directorate today, in which more than 200 tests are being done free of cost. The Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga kicked off Yoga Bandhan in New Delhi as part of the build-up to International Day of Yoga 2025. Organized by the Ministry of Ayush, Yoga Bandhan is one of 10 signature events under International Day of Yoga 2025 aimed at strengthening global ties through institutional and people-to-people connections in yoga. The inaugural session featured addresses by top Ayush and ICCR officials, followed by a tour of the institute campus and interactive discussions with international delegates. Union Home Secretary Govind Mohan chaired a review meeting with top chiefs of the J&K Police, Indian Army, CRPF and other agencies to finalize an action plan on security and preparations for Amarnath Yatra. 5 days after the unfortunate incident, authorities continue to work round the clock to ensure that DNA samples could be matched and remains handed over to grieving families as quickly as possible. So far, tests have verified the identities of 164 victims and the mortal remains of 124 victims were handed over to their families. The first meeting of the high-level committee set up by the government to investigate the tragic plane crash was held in New Delhi on Monday. Chaired by the Union Home Secretary Govind Mohan, the panel will submit its report within 3 months, which is expected to focus on formulating standard operating procedures for preventing such occurrences in the future. A separate investigation is also being carried out by the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, which is looking into the technical aspects of the crash. Helicopter flights to Kedarnath Dham resumed today, 2 days after the fatal chopper crash on June 15 that temporarily halted operations. The Chief Executive Officer of Uttarakhand Civil Aviation Development Authority has, however, clarified that operations will be carried out only in the event of suitable weather. Delhi Chief Minister Rekha Gupta today inaugurated 33 Ayushman Arogya Mandirs in the national capital. She also inaugurated 17 Jan Aushadhi Kendras. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh launched a 5-year vision document titled Income Generation from Banana Cultivation in Wokha district of Nagaland under the One District, One Product initiative. The Financial Action Task Force has condemned the Pahalgam terror attack, saying the attack could not have occurred without financial backing. The organization has reaffirmed its support to over 200 jurisdictions within its global network to build their counter-financing of terrorism measures. Indian equity indices ended on a negative note in the volatile session on Tuesday. At close, the Sensex tanked 213 points to settle at 81,583. Nifty dropped 93 points to settle at 24,853. Gold futures maturing on August 5 were priced at Rs 99,222 per 10 grams on the multi-commodity exchange. Silver futures for July 4 maturity stood at Rs 1,07,556 per kg on the MCX. Indian rupee declined 20 paise to close at 86.24 against the US dollar on Tuesday. Global stocks slid and oil prices rose on Tuesday in the backdrop of developments in West Asia. S&P 500 futures fell 0.46%. European futures slumped 0.69%. The Bank of Japan was the first central bank to announce its monetary policy decisions, keeping short-term interest rates steady at 0.5% as anticipated. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan edged up 0.2%, while China and Hong Kong equities slipped 0.1% each. Oil prices rose on Tuesday amid rising Israel-Iran tensions. Brent crude futures climbed 1.1% to $74.05 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up 1.1% at $72.54. After successfully concluding the Cyprus leg of his three-nation visit, Prime Minister Modi has arrived in Canada early this Tuesday morning to attend the G7 summit. Prime Minister will exchange views with leaders of G7 countries and other invited outreach countries on crucial global issues, including energy security, among others. A group of 7 nations have expressed support for Israel and labelled its rival Iran as a source of instability in West Asia. In a statement issued late on Monday, the leaders called for peace and stability in the region. The joint statement, backed by Trump and released by Canada, also said that Israel has a right to defend itself and stressed the importance of the protection of civilians. Indian students in Tehran have been moved out of the city for reasons of safety through arrangements made by the Indian embassy. Those who are self-sufficient in terms of transport have also been advised to move out of the city. US President Donald Trump and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced the finalization of a trade deal between the two countries at the G7 summit in Canada. US President Donald Trump cut short his G7 summit earlier today, although he rejected claims that his early departure from the G7 summit was related to efforts towards a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Earlier, French President Macron suggested that Trump had made an offer for a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, and nuclear talks with Iran could resume once a ceasefire is achieved. Iran and Israel continue to trade fire for the fifth night, with a new wave of Iranian strikes across central Israel reported. There were direct impacts from those Iranian missiles in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Israeli military said it has killed Iran's wartime chief of staff in overnight strikes on western Iran. Israel said during the strikes, dozens of surface-to-surface missile storage and launch infrastructure facilities were also struck in Iran. Amidst the escalating tensions, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that killing Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei would end the conflict between the two countries. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz warned Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei that he could suffer a fate similar to Iraqi President Saddam Hussein, who was toppled and later executed. US President Donald Trump and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz met on the sidelines of the G7 summit held in Kananaskis, Canada. US President Donald Trump said on Tuesday he would likely extend a deadline for China-based ByteDance to divest the US assets of short video app TikTok. A California court will hear arguments on Tuesday on whether US President Donald Trump must give up control of the state's National Guard after he sent troops to protest hit Los Angeles against the wishes of local officials. Chinese President Xi Jinping and other Central Asia leaders arrived at the opening of the China Central Asia Summit on Tuesday as leaders gathered in Astana. An explosion at a fireworks factory in the southern Chinese province of Hunan killed 9 people and injured 26 others. Cambodia has banned fruit and vegetable imports from Thailand amid escalating tensions following a recent border clash between the two nations. A German court sentenced Syrian doctor Ala Musa to life imprisonment for crimes against humanity related to torture at military hospitals. 2 suspects linked to the murder of an Australian man at a Bali villa were arrested following a multi-day manhunt. Alright, we are slipping into a very short break. On the other side, more stories. Keep watching Express News.
Goa, a food paradise, both steeped in historical culinary tradition and at the forefront of a modern-day food revolution that is fresher, more local, and more global than ever before. I'm embarking on a journey across the state to explore the very best of food here.
This is honestly my favorite way to eat an egg.
Break bread with some of Goa's most loved chefs and understand what food really means to communities here. Watch postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching Express News. Some more story. At least 29 people have died in Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo after weekend rains triggered severe floods and landslides. Heavy rains and flash floods in West Virginia have left 6 people dead, with 2 still missing. Weather officials in West Virginia are closely monitoring the region as more rainfall is expected in the coming days. A landslide hit Boca di Cadore in northern Italy, prompting the evacuation of dozens of residents. Mount Lewatobi Laki in Indonesia's East Nusa Tenggara province erupted on Tuesday, spewing a towering ash cloud 11 kilometers high. In the last 24 hours, over 221 districts in Gujarat were hit by heavy rain, with Saurashtra and South Gujarat receiving the highest totals. Due to 2 low-pressure areas over South Gujarat, Saurashtra and Kutch are likely to see very heavy rainfall, severe thunderstorms and lightning in the next 24 hours. The Indian Weather Department has issued an orange alert for Maharashtra following heavy rain on Monday that caused waterlogging in several parts of the state. Parts of Delhi received rainfall on Tuesday, bringing much-needed relief from the prevailing heatwave conditions. The IMD forecasts heavy rain in Kerala through June 18, issuing red, orange and yellow alerts across several districts. Marine scientists near Gyaros Island in Greece are restoring underwater forest of Cystocera algae to revive damaged marine ecosystems. In Shenyang, Liaoning province, over 50 couples showcased 5 traditional Chinese wedding costumes at the Dynasty Wedding Costume Exhibition. The 27th Shanghai International Film Festival features Where Dreams Were Created, an exhibition tracing 120 years of Chinese cinema history. Amsterdam is opening an exhibition dedicated to 17th century Baroque sculptor artist Culinary, celebrating his artistic legacy. France posthumously awarded Jean and Jean-Philippe, the righteous among the nations, medal for sheltering Jewish children during World War II. In Venezuela's El Dorado, powdered gold is currently weighed and used for everyday purchases in local transactions. Streets of La Paz, Bolivia came alive with dancers, musicians and singers during the vibrant festival of the Great Power. Naga tribes from India held talks in the UK to reclaim ancestral remains taken during colonial times and displayed in museums. London's Oxford Street will be pedestrianised in a move designed to smarten up the area and create a new public space to help drive growth. The collection of late Belgian artist Isabelle de Borgrave, known for her paper dresses and creations, will be up for bids in Brussels on June 17. On World Crocodile Day, India celebrates the recovery of 3 crocodilian species, gharial, mugger and saltwater crocodile, from near extinction. The world observed the day to combat desertification and drought on Tuesday with the theme "Restore the Land, Unlock the Opportunities." In Prayagraj, people performed water yoga in Yamuna River on Tuesday as a lead-up to International Day of Yoga. Ahead of International Day of Yoga, Border Security Forces troops performed yoga exercises at a border outpost along the Indo-Pakistan border in Rajasthan. In Sikkim's Gangtok, a special yoga Samavesh was organized for children with disabilities ahead of International Day of Yoga. Director Danny Boyle, along with actors Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Jodie Comer, promoted their upcoming film 28 years later at an event in London. Brad Pitt and F1 star Lewis Hamilton lit up Times Square for the premiere of the racing film F1, set to hit theatres on June 27 via Warner Brothers. A California doctor accused in the ketamine overdose death of Friends actor Matthew Perry has agreed to plead guilty to 4 felony drug distribution charges. Dr. Salvador Plasencia, who ran a Malibu urgent care clinic, could face up to 40 years in prison for illegally distributing ketamine, prosecutors said. K-pop group Atiz dropped their 12th EP Golden Hour Part 3, featuring 5 tracks including the new single Lemon Drop. A Minecraft movie starring Jason Momoa, Jack Black, Emma Myers, Jennifer Coolidge will start streaming on Max from June 20th. In a rare and historic meeting at the Vatican City, Hollywood legend Al Pacino and producer Manaswi Mamgai were officially received by Pope Leo XIV for the upcoming film Captivated. Filmmaker S.S. Rajamouli is working on his upcoming project SSMB 29, starring Mahesh Babu, Priyanka Chopra Jonas and Prithvi Sukumaran. The film is shaping to be a visually ambitious cinematic experience. Akshay Kumar's Houseful 5 continues its successful run, crossing 158 crore rupees in India within 11 days and becoming his 6th highest grossing film. The highly anticipated teaser of Prabhas Tara, The Raja Saab, was released on Monday. The film is set to hit the theatres on December 5. The 2025-27 World Test Championship cycle has begun with the first match between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh on Tuesday. The ICC could sanction 4-day tests for smaller nations in the 2027-29 World Test Championship cycle. New Zealand women's captain Sophie Devine has announced that she will retire from one-day internationals after World Cup later this year in India. The Netherlands beat Nepal but needed a record-breaking 3 super overs to clinch victory in their 2020 Tri-Series match in Glasgow. Curator of the pitch for the first test between India and England in Leeds, Richard Robinson, expects 300 runs to be ideal total in the first innings. The Women's Tennis Association announced that the Chennai Open tennis tournament is set to return this October after a 3-year hiatus. Taylor Fritz has surpassed Novak Djokovic to claim the 4th spot in the latest ATP rankings following his victory at the Stuttgart Open. Tatjana Maria jumped 43 places to reach 43rd spot in the latest WTA rankings after she claimed the Queen's Club Championships. Frances Tiafoe fell to a first-round exit at Queen's Club as veteran Danny Vance rolled back the years to secure 7-5, 6-2 win. Russian third seed Daniel Medvedev is past home Hope Daniel Altmaier 6-3, 6-3 at Germany's Hall Open. Poland's Magdalena Frech came from a set down to battle past world number 7 Mira Andreeva 2-6, 7-5, 6-0 in the Berlin Open round 16. Sevilla announced the appointment of former Argentina international Matias Almeida as the Spanish club's new coach on a 3-year deal. Paris Saint-Germain have returned to the training in California ahead of their match against Brazil's Botafogo on Thursday. Pedro Neto and Enzo Fernandez propelled Chelsea to a 2-0 victory over Los Angeles in the Club World Cup in Atlanta. The English Women's Super League is set to expand to 14 teams from 12 in the 2026-27 season after the proposal was voted through by the clubs. Well, that's all we have in this edition of Express News. You stay tuned for more news and updates. Namaskar.